Good morning, everyone. This is office hour for Oregon State University PDC Pro Winter 2024. This is Zoom call number 2, and the next lesson due is lesson 2, Basemap and Client Interview on February 5th, 2024. Got a couple folks. Good morning, Linda.
Hi.
Hi. We've got, oh, Louis, you're here? Louis is on his way in. No video yet. How's your week? How was your weekend? I know it's Tuesday, but my weekend just ended. So
Your weekend just started. Yeah, it's been busy, as you know. Thank you for texting me back. We're trying to leave here to go to Costa Rica for a week, and so life is kind of crazy right now. But they look like they're both designers in Costa Rica. I was hoping to go look at a farm or something.
okay.
So I'm just waiting to hear back from one place that has classes, but I'm not signing up for classes, so I don't know if they, can let me pay to have a tour. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. I sent you to Scott. I think Scott Gallant. My hope was that, and I did leave a conversation in the community there, and the only one I'd heard back from that I hope you could actually go see, and like you were looking for, like an actual farm site. It sounds like that design that never went through. It was a big project that kind of just fell on the space, which happens. And I maybe I'll reach out to Scott again because I was hoping that he might connect you with clients that he has, because sometimes when you just like connect with a farmer, like you see their website and something, and it's like they've got the nicest pictures from like the very front view of the property, and then you get there and it's kind of disappointing. So sometimes connecting with a designer can refer you to clients that they would recommend going to see. So I'm hoping to still get you some recommendations for that. But if you could send me some details on where you'll be.
Okay.
Because I don't want to send you like, right all the way across the property if you've only got a week, or the country if you've only got a week. So
yeah, well, thank you. I don't want to take too much of your time, but I appreciate the connections.
Yeah, I love Costa Rica too, so I'm kind of like living vicariously through you. Good morning, Louis and Dale. Nice to see you both. Oh, Dale, you're muted. That's okay.
Yeah, I actually love Costa Rica as well.
Oh, you've been?
Yeah, I was out. It's been a while, but the goal was to stay 100 days. Wait, no, was it 100 days? I was supposed to stay 6 months. I only ended up staying like 100 days.
Oh,
okay.
It's just a week trip, so I don't know what I wanted to go see something like a permaculture farm, but we'll see if I can find it, or we can drive there.
Nice. You have is it primarily just a vacation trip, like to go and?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, with a couple of friends, my husband, just 4 of us going and renting a car and just tripping around.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
Which part of Costa Rica are you guys going to?
We're flying into Liberia, staying at Coca Beach. So, but we're game to drive a little bit.
That's great. Yeah, you guys could check out Fortuna. It's kind of in the northern part of Costa Rica, and
Fortuna?
they've got like volcanic hot springs, and they've got all the touristy stuff like seeing sloths and all that fun stuff. And
okay.
Yeah, definitely a better version than if you try to do San Jose and that kind of area.
Yeah, we're wanting some of that other nature stuff, and hot springs sounds good.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Lake Arenal, great spots all around there.
Okay.
It has the best zip line too.
Has a zip line. We did that last time we were there, and that was really awesome. So it sounds like we've got a good Costa Rica group here.
Yeah.
Yeah, my brother has lived there for like 12 years, so yes.
Oh wow. Okay.
He's in the northwest, Guanacaste.
Yeah, Guanacaste.
Yeah. yeah, near Tamarindo, which the locals say is called Scamagringo, so don't go there.
Yeah.
Oh, don't go there. That was the beach that my friend wanted to go to. So
That's
that,
actually a nice place. It's not a bad beach. It's just, it's a little, as you know, there's so much variance in the country. It's beautiful. A buddy of mine and I crossed the Bongo River in the southwest once, which is crocodile filled, and there's some incredible little community, Santa Teresa, I think, or they're just amazing. It's like you're not even on this planet. It's so beautiful.
oh, I'm
Hmm.
excited.
Okay.
We're cold here a little bit, so it's nice to go where it's warm in the winter.
Yeah. Well, if anyone has any any specific permaculture farms, feel free to drop them in the chat. I do have an agroforestry restoration site that I know them quite. I mean, I know the people that started it quite well. It's been many years since I was there. That's down in the Talamanca range, so it's Cloudbridge Nature Reserve. But they actually started as basically a really degraded piece of cattle pasture, and have reforested over for almost 20 years now. I was there in 2006. So
What was the name of that one again?
called Cloudbridge.
Cloudbridge.
I will drop that in the not Cowbridge, but Cloudbridge, Cloud Forest. It's preserve, or yeah, but they do a lot of agroforestry research. The Tom Goad manages the not so much the outreach, but like the on-site education and stuff. And he's been there. He was there when I was there, so he's had a long knowledge of the site, and very community connected. So that would be one. Okay, how are you guys all doing? Basemaps and client interviews, we'll just take.
I need help with contours.
Okay.
I've got the USGS map 7.5 minute, which is the closest thing I could find with lines on it. And I've done some research online, and there's various ways of using various programs with Google Earth, and I even have a drone mapping software. I got half of a drone survey done last time I was out there, but then the wind kicked up too much, so it never finished. And even that software, would have to pay like the next licensing level to get automatic contours. So I'm kind of pulling my hair out going, how do people do it? What am I missing?
Yeah. What what app were you using?
Well, so like I said, I started with a PDF of a USGS 7.5 minute topo.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at Google Earth. I'm looking at this app that I've used for a year or so called Drone Deploy, which again should have made it one click for me, but they want me to pay more money. I'm not going to do that.
Okay.
And then there's a bunch of others that I saw online that I haven't actually started yet. I thought I would ask the question here. The other minor wrinkle is that I'm missing a monitor. My eyes are not so good anymore. I'm on my laptop. I can't do the detailed design work anymore on a laptop. I just have to get an external monitor. So I'm going to actually borrow one from a friend because mine is in Arizona. Long story. So I've got a few technical challenges that I'm working through, but I guess my real question is, what are people doing to do contours? Are they doing it by hand, or is there an easy way?
No. It really depends where you are, but you're like Oxnard, Ventura, correct?
I'm located in Oxnard right now. My site's in Arizona. My wife and I go back and forth. We're probably going to head out there in a week or two when the weather warms up a little bit.
Okay. Avenza Maps has a lot of good topo maps to work off of, and you can waypoint them. You can get okay, Patricia, noting your question, thanks. You can get a 30-day trial. Don't let it go into the paid version because it's $155 a year.
Type that in, Susan. Type that in so I can catch what that is.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm looking at the chat too, so thank you.
Okay. Avenza Maps is one that a lot of people like. Let me see. I'm trying to arrange windows here and stuff, so I've got enough real estate. I was gonna
Roger,
say,
what
Roger, if you're in
county
Oxnard, I
are you?
have a couple of extra like large monitors sitting around my feet right now. So,
Oh, thank you. No, my
you know,
buddy,
you're 15 minutes away. I was gonna say you could pop over for.
well, we should definitely do coffee at some point, definitely. But my buddy's up in Santa Barbara. He's got a
Gotcha,
4K
okay.
27-inch. I'm gonna go pick it up tomorrow. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah,
So
so
I'll be all
Basemap's-
right.
we'll get-
Roger,
Okay.
I have a
Yes.
question for Roger. Do
Oh,
you,
sorry.
is the land really sloped, or why are you wanting to do the topo? Just, I mean, rather than just do like a parcel map or something, what is the purpose for wanting to do that?
It is sloped, and I think it's just informs so much about where you might put a pond or a swale or a terrace, for example. So I do have a nicely contoured piece of property south facing with two dry washes, a main one that kind of cuts through the diagonally, and then a smaller one on the western edge. So there is a lot going on. It offers a lot of opportunity for microclimates and different things. And I think for example, here's one concrete reason why the left or west wash is smaller, but runs much more strongly during monsoons, and it meanders onto my property and then off. Since it's coming onto my property, and surface water rights are contentious in the area, so I have to be careful what I do. But I could potentially put a ditch on contour from that west side and run it on contour back into the larger piece of the property, and without seeing the contours, I would never know if that's possible or not.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm not as familiar for pulling topo maps for Arizona.
Okay.
But you know, get the best you can.
I'm gonna do the best I can, and
Yeah.
then go back after the fact. And as I learn more and obtain more resources, I'm comfortable going back and updating things
Okay,
later
and
down the road. So
you went through the resources in the assignment, correct?
not all of them, to be honest.
Okay.
I'm still in that.
Yeah, okay. I mean,
still
they're
down
often
that path.
adding things and stuff, so I'm just looking. Yeah, so USGS topo maps, contour line diagrams. There is a contour map creator. You want to be careful. I think this is the Verge permaculture one. I just want to open up and double check. You want to be careful about these because sometimes they're really aggregating a lot of data, so it looks like the resolution is more precise. But if it's an aggregate of data, that can be true, and it can also just be a big aggregate of different companies' mistakes. So, or different averages and stuff. So,
Gotcha.
But, so you always want to, any type of topographic map, even if it's done by a drone, because drones are going to get, confused by tree height, any kind of thing like that. You always want to ground truth it. So just once you've got any kind of a topo map, just get out on your landscape, mark anywhere that it's like, oh, this isn't a ridge, this is just a really tall
right.
section of dense trees or but yeah, so start with some of the links here in the assignment resources. So the contour map creator, I'll do a quick screen share here. There we go. Okay, did any of you manage to make it to oh, screen share is loading, there we go. Make it to Javin Brnakovich's the Basemap clinics, did he call them?
No, did he save them somewhere to watch later?
Yes, he did. Yeah, he always saves replays.
Is he all points design?
Yes.
Is he okay? I'm actually have it on my TV right now.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm actually watching one of his. I paused it for this call, but yeah, I found it online, and it's interesting to go through.
Yeah.
I actually attended one last week and it was fantastic. And he did one this morning, but he's doing another one on Friday as well. I don't know if everybody saw that.
Yeah. So the links to those are like, he's already got them up in the template. He doesn't have small children. He's very organized. He had a head injury a couple of years ago, so he's been like extremely diligent about making things like very easy to find. Now I can't find it, of course. I just saw those. Oh, I know. it's gonna be right at the top of the Basemap. Here we go. So in your resources, the very first slide of your Basemap assignment, there's these Basemap Clinic 1, 2, and 3. So that's going to be the recording. So they're all already up on YouTube. Yeah. I presume that's what, yeah. So yeah, go check those out. Let's see what it opens up to. I'm not going to play it here, but yeah, okay. So these are Javin's clinics. I didn't know if they recorded something else. So there you are. There's the good sir himself. And he's going to cover a lot of the details that are, you know, sometimes it's just easier to hear it from someone walking you through it. So I encourage you to go check those out. Probably just one is going to be fine. He's going to be covering the same material.
He's actually,
pardon me?
Susan, he's actually allowing people to share their base map with him.
Yeah.
And then he helps walk them through it like on the map. So I thought that that was not only illustrative, but I didn't have mine quite there yet, but he helped one of the students, participants, and really moved her thing along. So
yeah,
for what it's worth.
Yeah, and we can do that
I'm
here.
sure the
So
video will be good.
this is kind of open season for you guys. I don't structure my office hours too much because I never know like if people are showing up with questions, but we can of course do that. I'm going to whip through the assignment a little bit just to kind of give everybody an overview, anybody watching the replay. And then if anyone, if we want to workshop a base map right now, we can do that, if that would be helpful to folks, or if you have other questions. Patricia, I did see your question in here about plant stuff. So, okay, I got a thumbs up. Okay, so it's a pretty straightforward assignment. It's just pretty straightforward lesson. So it's the 2 assignments, the base map, and then this client interview. Let me see. I was going to say spend the bulk of your time in the base map, but really take your time making sure you've got the elements of the base map to make it really clear. Look to the examples. Look to the examples to see what they include. These guys here have a very precise topographic map. This may have been a survey that they had done by a drone company. It's a very, very nice contour map. Don't be alarmed if you can't get something that's this precise. Like this is 2-foot contours. That's pretty rare to be able to pull for, you know, for your property, and I would say almost unheard of for being able to pull from free data or like from a free app or anything. So this is something like specialty that these guys had to underlay, which is really nice and it makes it look beautiful, but this is like professional level quality mapping at this point. What you can see, they've outlined all the buildings, like they were working off of the satellite image. They outlined all the buildings with the polygon. They might have used some no, okay. So they just added like additional lines to make these, you know, to make it match the roof lines. They're showing water directions coming off the roof. They've got a full legend here. So make sure that your legend, if you've got it on the map, it's got to be in the legend. They've got a clear scale. Some of the scales in lesson 1 that I see come up are really difficult to read, or they're just the default scale bar and they haven't been actually scaled to the image. So there's some resources on scaling, fitting a scale bar to a scale bar, like on a Google Earth image, if you've downloaded it. So if you need any help with that, let me know. Have your information on the side. No, you can either choose, you've got 2 options here. If you go back to the main slide, you can do a base map with horizontal title bar, which means all the information, this is the title bar, all the information is along the bottom. Or you can do it along the side, which is this down in the corner. It doesn't matter to me. Don't do both, just choose one or the other, and then go with that. So whatever works for you, whatever suits your aesthetic, or you know the size, the images that you've got is fine with me. So this is the scale bar that I mean. So change this so that it's accurate to the image, and then choose, you'll have to like rewrite this or put a little piece of text over it, whether you're going to use meters or feet. I see a lot of these scale bars where it's like exactly as it's laid out here, which doesn't tell me anything, because if this is like 1 inch, is that 10 meters or 10 feet, which makes a big difference, right? So it's like 30 feet or 10 feet. Okay. Now, I don't know if anyone is planning to do a hand-drawn map. This is a really nice example of it. Now, they've obviously taken a photo or scanned a photo and then uploaded it and had to adjust the color balance to get a true white, which is why this pink shadow is showing up. It's nice if you can avoid that, like taking an image with a fairly strong light so that you don't get that effect, but it's fine. But this is what I'd like to see if you're choosing to do a hand-drawn image, like really crisp lines, clear legend, clear, like not cursive script, just clear printing. Use a black ink. Let me see what else no grid behind. Sometimes I see students putting these on lined paper or on a grid paper, and it really muddies up the image. You can do this on tracing paper over top of a grid sheet if that helps you, if that's necessary. But this is what I'd like to see if you're choosing to do a hand-drawn image. So yes, Linda.
So I was curious what you want behind the base map. This one obviously has the topo, but can we just have it just what we've drawn? We've had an image maybe on the back that we are going from, but
yeah,
you probably don't want to see that image on this first page, right?
That's right. Yeah, so this is going to be a line, like what we call a vector drawing. So this is just going to be the outlines of buildings, plain circles for trees, but you can use your satellite image to draw that.
Okay.
So
basically not show it, but not need to show what we drew from.
That's right. So you can pull up your satellite image, draw your base map, and then delete it. And then in a minute, so you're going to do a grayscale. So you're going to convert that line drawing that you've done here into a grayscale and put it in this one. And then here in this what's now a 4 slide, it's going to be 3. So you're going to have your line drawing base map, your grayscale base map, still a line drawing, and then the color base map over your aerial photo. So then you're going to bring that aerial photo back so we can see what's actually laying underneath that. So a little bit of both. So like yes and no. But yeah, for the basic base map, it's just the line drawing. So that's what this is going to look like. If we scroll over here they've got the topo map, all these pieces, but you can see the satellite image underneath now.
Yeah.
And they didn't. Here's another example. Again, this is. They've got projects here that have like very nice crisp contour lines, which you don't always get. But yeah, so there's your base map underneath, or over top, pardon me, with the satellite image underneath. Okay, when you do your grayscale, which is something that trips people up sometimes, like, why are we doing grayscale? The grayscale is basically, just imagine if you wanted to print something off to hand to a client, to hand to a contractor, to like show an example, and you've only got a black and white printer, or you need to photocopy it. That's what the grayscale is for. So this is your chance to see, like, am I going to lose all the information if I turn it into black and white? It's going to be a grayscale. So like black, gray, and white. It's your chance to see, like, if you're going to lose any information, anything looks really muddled, if things aren't distinct. So this is still just going to be your line drawing, so don't do the satellite image underneath. So your legend should be in black and white. I don't care about the title bar, you can leave that, whatever you like. But basically everything else on this should be in your in grayscale. Now the easiest way to do that is to take your base map slide here, whichever you do, vertical or horizontal title bar, and then go up to file, and you can download this file as a JPEG image. You can do either JPEG or PNG. PNG is usually for line drawings, and JPEG, of course, is going to be more like an image. So you might want to download both and see which scales better, or which, just which looks clearer, crisper. Usually SVG isn't really something I use. I don't know if it would work in this context, but you could try it. And then once you've got that, you could even go down here and either create a new slide or just upload that image and then convert it. Let me see. I need to find an actual image in here. Oh, come on. Oh, I'm in view only, of course. I'm not in my editable version. When you go to image options, you'll have an option to recolor it and turn it into a grayscale. Clear? Is that helpful? Any questions? Okay, Patricia's giving me a thumbs up. Okay, okay.
There's a
It's
tutorial,
really
yeah.
the easiest way, instead of like trying to convert every single little icon and everything into grayscale, just download that whole thing as a single, that whole slide as a single image, upload it again into this slide, and then just convert that colored image to grayscale. Or you can convert it to grayscale in a photo editor, an image editor, doesn't matter. But that's the idea, is that this whole thing is in grayscale so that you can see it if you photocopied it. Then you've got all these little like Tinker Toy pieces that you can play with. A lot of the stuff you probably won't have, but you can put in icons for like 5,000 gallon tank, which probably most of you don't have yet, but you might want to use later in the design process. A wood deck, pavers, house, garage, all of these things you can use. You can basically literally just copy and paste into your legend to use. So that's just a nice resource that you can have. When you're done with it, it's nice if you can, oh, I still can't do that here. Can I? Anyway, if you can hide the slides that you're not using. Okay, here's Jesse. Just so they don't, clutter up your design. It's not a big deal. Here's some trees you can use, more utilities, light posts, doors, stuff like that. The other thing is that once you've selected this, say for instance, you want to outline a gutter or a water flow. This should be flow, not floor. If you're confused when you see that, you can just copy and paste this image and put it into your design. And then it's going to be exactly the same format. You can just stretch it to fit. You can multiply it, whatever you want to do. So that makes that design process a bit quicker. These are just some kind of standard tree icons that people use, tree and shrub icons. So whatever works for you. And yet more, there are bazillions of these things floating around on the internet. Yes, okay, so I was going to say these are not individual, so this is a sheet. So there is a tutorial about how to crop them into individuals. I use the design program and I had to like crop out each individual one. So I'm not sure what I'd have to go and look in the tutorial and see how they recommend it. But these kind of things are handy. Most of them you can just like copy it and then crop image, zoom, and then just crop out the one you want to use and go ahead and use that. So yes, Linda.
So we're only supposed to put what's wanting to be left, right? We're not, because there's a lot of extra stuff that's there. And so you don't want to see everything that's there. You just only want to see what we think should be the base starting point, right?
Typically in the base map, you'd want to see what your starting point is. Now, my mind is always going to come up with some kind of an exception. And it's like, if you have like a junkyard or like a dense orchard, even actually if you had an orchard, for instance, you would want to like at least delineate that this is existing orchard. So this is really like your existing map that you're working with.
Okay, so the fences and stuff, if you're thinking we might move some of those, but right now we should still draw them, show them where they're at.
Yes. Yeah, okay. Because they will play into, they'll play into some of your planning, your budgeting. Like if you need to budget, a labor team to remove those kind of things. you would want to be able to show them your base map and say like, okay, you guys are going here, you're taking out this line of posts, whereas saying like, oh, there's a line of posts here that it's not shown on the map, but just go take those out. But you could say like, take up to this tree or something, like you'd want to be able to indicate that on the map. So have those, yeah. In most cases you're looking at mapping what's existing already. With very few exceptions. But it is also, and I try to iterate this. I don't know if I've mentioned this. I mentioned this in the last office hour for you guys, but you're really like, you're telling a story, or think of it. I think it helps to think of this as telling a story about your land and about your site and about, what you're bringing to the property. And this is even true for a client. You're trying to elucidate what their story on that property is going to be. So where is it at now is part of that story. And then where are we trying to take it to and why? And what resources are we going to need to create that transformation? So that current information is important in that context, if that helps.
Thank you.
Yes, Luis.
So the now is not showing what's being currently built. We're going to show that later on other slides.
Yeah, if you have something like a foundation already poured and
Okay.
you're building a house there, I mean, that's not going to go backwards.
I see.
Right. So you could put, this is where the foundation is, future house site. Some students even do put, like if they've put in, say, roughed in utilities, they've had an area surveyed or something, they will put in like, this is a future home site, which is sort of going into that gray area of like, okay, what is this going towards?
Okay.
But it is relevant. It's something it's an active element. So you could include that.
Thank you.
Okay. Good morning, Jesse. I saw you drop in there. Okay, and then SWOT analysis.
Hi, Susan, sorry I'm late.
No, you're good. That's fine. Okay, so any questions on Basemap while we're here? Yes, Patricia.
So we're the previous student's question. So we are building what is existing. Is this then later going to show in the future lessons what will be, and this is the original base we start with?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So we could even go all the way up to lesson 10, which I'm not going to scroll through here because it's just the lag time is too slow. But in the very last lesson, when you're really bringing it all together, you bring the slide forward of the existing base map to show what's there, and then your zone, like your zone 1 plant systems design, all your elements and building elements and energy. So you're going to show like where it was at when I started and where I want to take it to. So yes, that will come forward.
So this needs to be the most accurate thing we can do right now as far as layout. Okay.
Yes, getting your base map as clear and accurate as you possibly can at this point will go miles in helping you with the rest of the course. So this is, I mean, I hesitate to say, oh, spend your time, really put the bulk of your time into your base map and don't worry too much of the client interview. The client interview is very important, but the base map is what's going to be carried forward as a visual element in pretty much every lesson, or almost every assignment, every lesson of the course for sure, for the rest of the course. So making sure it's clear. One thing I didn't comment on, and if I saw it come up in your lesson 1, I have commented on it already because it's really important to get it accurate early on. When you import an image, or if you export an image from Google Earth, make sure that you're looking directly overhead. And sometimes that's, making sure that it's like, you can look at buildings and see if you can see the side of a building, then you're not looking overhead. Make sure that if you've got a rectilinear property, like a property boundary, it's rectangular, it's not angled, because that will throw your whole scale off, right? Like suddenly 1 inch on the map is 30 feet at the back of your property and it's 50 feet at the front, or I mean, that's an extreme example, but make sure that that's really a clear overhead shot. If anyone's having problems in Google Earth getting that, because sometimes it's the new, as Google Earth like advances with the terrain, with the terrain layer, sometimes it's tricky to really make sure it's overhead. If you turn off terrain on the layers, that often helps it just become a flat 2D image, and then you can see clearly, you know, where the property line is, and then it's like clearly overhead. Okay, I think that's all my points for Basemap. Any other? You guys all right?
I have one question. I used a clinometer to do some slopes.
Okay.
Where would I show that? Would I show that on the base map, or would I have notation like somewhere else?
I think the best place to put that is going to come up. I'm just trying to think, I'm trying to kind of shuffle it. You could drop it into a slide right now with your base map, just to have it kind of bookmarked. I think where it's going to come up and be more relevant is probably in the site cross section. Would be my immediate, let me see, possibly microclimates, possibly water. It's depending where, like what kind of slopes and where are you looking at, like behind the house, in a pasture?
From the road to the pasture. I just wanted to know, and then they were saying that their water flow goes from south to north, and so I wanted to know, it's not a very significant slope, but I just wanted to know what we're talking about as far as yeah, what the direction.
Yeah. Okay, I would think about putting it into the site cross section, which doesn't come up for
okay.
Well, it's not actually until lesson 7. But I would maybe take a look at those slides in this section and either grab one now and start to kind of put that together, because it would be useful information to have along the way. Most students don't have access to a clinometer, and they're fairly spendy, so it's not something that I say, oh, go out and buy a clinometer. But if you've got that information, you could either pull up one of these slides and work it in there, or just create a slide, like, you know, copy the slide format and create one that shows that information in a way that's relevant. We can always move it to a different part of the presentation if it's, you know, so yeah, but it's definitely useful information to have, and that's probably where I would include it. Now you're saying that if it's related to the water flow from the neighbor's property, is that correct?
From their irrigation pipe that they bring in.
Gotcha. Okay,
Yeah,
then okay, then probably in your water, like your site water flow analysis, would be a good place to put it. Not so much the watershed maps, but the site water flow analysis would be another good place to drop it.
Okay. So. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go back to client survey. Oh, client interview, pardon me. Okay, so this is where either you as the client, or if you are actually working with a client or a friend whose property you're talking to them, basically it's just filling out information. If there's anything that really doesn't apply, this isn't a good example because mostly, you know, hopefully everyone's got some kind of a hobby. Most people are going to have information for all of these. On the next one, so this is one example for multiple client. Yeah, single client, multiple clients. You can choose one. Yeah, so all of, yeah, just get a little bit of information on what's existing there. It looks like actually this template has been revised a little bit. Sometimes people want to delete special requirements. You can also just put none. Now I'm trying to remember what it was, but there was a specific example where I was like, oh, if this doesn't apply to you, just delete it. But all of these I can see would generally apply to everyone. So yeah, they must have updated the template a little bit. They're always tweaking it just a bit. So yeah, so just go through each of these elements. you know, whatever details you can get are going to be useful. So structures, types of roofing, age, like when it was built, square footage, if there's a foundation, if there's no foundation, like if it's on skids or a trailer, all of that kind of information is useful. Water, like flow rates, gallons per minute, how old the well is, how deep the well is. If you only got municipal water and you want to transition to having a site that's primarily rainwater fed, you can, all of that information, can kind of be a brain dump for like what you have and what you dream of, or what they have and what they're dreaming of. And this is a nice thing to go back to as you go through the course and look like, oh, have we designed in this particular element, or are we over designing on, say, structures and totally neglecting like that they actually wanted to transition their electricity, something like that. So it's a nice check. It's kind of a context clarification to know that you're actually designing around what the client wants. And this, I think this is a conversation that's really developed in the permaculture community, or the regenerative design community, in the last, say, like 5 to 10 years, even, with the advent of like holistic management and holistic context development, of designing really from what the client wants and what they're capable of, what they can contribute, what their skills and resources are to draw from, rather than us coming and looking at it from a designer's point of view and saying like, oh, you've got this beautiful 5 acres, we could do an orchard up here, we could do chicken tractors down here, and this like, pond structure and a beautiful greenhouse, and neglecting the fact that this is like a couple close to retirement, and they're looking to like downsize everything, and they want an easier life to travel with their grandkids, or whatever, that sort of thing. Really looking at what the client is looking for more than what you can dream up adding as a designer. So this is a good place to get that down on paper and get it really clarified of like, what do they have to work with? What kind of limitations do we need to work within? Which can actually be quite liberating in terms of like, oh no, suddenly the sky is not the limit. We have to design, like I've got one of my students in the other cohort who is designing around this like thousands of dollars of astroturf that her clients put in like last year. So of course we're all cringing as like our little permy hearts are just shriveling, but they have a new baby coming. They've invested a lot of money in this before they knew better. They want to transition away from it, but they're not there yet. So we're designing around that space with the intention of down the road being able to transition away from it. Now, I know a lot of people that I met early on that would want to go in there. First thing they do is they tear out the astroturf. They want to put in like raised beds and do like the best for the site, which is very cool. But for a couple that both works full time and they have a new baby coming, is a terrible fit, because all of that's going to largely go to like neglect and waste. So this is a good place to get all of that laid out and clarified. Again, all of these just kind of more aspects to think about. Water for the site is sort of here it is, touched on here. This is where you can get into some details about that. It's basically, it's an inventory, so I think that's fairly straightforward. If you are there any questions on that? I'm kind of blasting through. No. Okay. Yes, Patricia.
So clearly we could eliminate clothesline or whatever if we don't, it doesn't matter what we tear out of there, because then it gives more room for the rest of the chart, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so anything like this, like a children's area, I mean, don't have it, don't want it, is also a valid answer, because sometimes it's like, oh, did you just not think about it, or is it a don't have, don't want? So that, I mean, and that's up to you as a designer, as a conversation with your client. This is your project. I'm not going through this, taking off marks or adding marks or anything for how many things you've got here. It's just like, oh, okay, you completed it for what you're looking to do there. Similar for pets. I think wildlife, it would be nice to stay in, because I think we're all trying to design, or should be trying to design, for more like not native biodiversity. And I think that's, Yeah, I don't know any of the others that would really make, possibly a woodlot. A woodlot is not actually in a lot of people's contexts. That's typically like a larger site issue. But you could look to managing, you know, tree clippings, something like that. How you're going to manage tree prunings from fruit trees. We chop all of ours up and they go into a banana circle, for instance. They become their compost. Some people would chip them up and use them as mulch. So you might want to think about how you would manage, even if you just change this to woody debris, and think about that. I'm getting self-conscious about how often I say and there we go.
Susan,
Yes.
quick question, a little bit of a tangent, but maybe you'll allow it. On the children's area, I'm very much a fan of using my property to help reconnect people with nature, and that includes children. Less screen time, more unsupervised play. There's so many benefits. As I'm looking at this in my head, I'm conflicted between a safe, because my property is extraordinarily rural, and there are bears, mountain lion, bobcats. I have to think about these things. A 2-3-year-old kid playing unsupervised could have a bad outcome. In my head, I'm envisioning a future state where there's a fenced off, secured play area for small kids like you might find in a city park, versus there's another piece of me going, why would I transplant that boundary condition into my rural property where my whole vision is inspired by reconnecting people with nature, and now you've got a fence between them and nature? I know it's a little random and abstract, but is there anyone here, does that sit with you either way, as to A, the importance of unstructured play for kids, and B, keeping them safe? Like, do you just assign someone to keep an eye on them, or do you create a safe space for them? I guess that's my question.
I have a lot of thoughts on that. I saw Lewis's hand come up.
I was torn with that, back and forth. I don't have bears, right? But I do have, you know, coyotes, bobcats. People say there's cougars in the area. And I do let the kids play on a massive playground that I have on site, unsupervised. And you know, at first it just gave me like a kind of like anxiety a little bit. I did fence off certain areas of the property. I fenced off the entire property, but there's a creek that goes through, and these animals go through the creek. In the end, I just got dogs. I got 2 Dobermans, and their area is literally right next to the kids' area. So
nice.
They're kind of, that was my best alarm system to have, and then they're free to be about without being fenced or caged.
That is such a beautiful, elegant answer. Yeah, thank you. I like that. And I've also thought about, if I have livestock down the road, I don't plan on doing it for a while because it's just not my background, and I know there's a lot of responsibility that goes with it. So that I might hand off to a future generation, but I can lay the groundwork for that. But when that time comes, I know the importance of well-trained and the right species of guard dogs is incredible. So thank you for that. I should have thought of that.
I actually had a temporary cage next to my chickens, and when I had the dog, I put the Dobermans right next to the chickens, so they also guard the chickens.
Yeah, and I've seen examples of where the geese look out for the predator birds and tell the chickens when to run undercover, that sort of thing. So yes, I like that interconnectedness of the animals helping care for the property. Thank you.
Yeah, that would you said you've got 5 acres, yeah. So I mean, I grew up in bush country, like a lot of bears, grizzly bears, black bears. We had a mountain lion go through once or twice, lots of coyotes, lots of, highway on one side, river on the other. So, I mean, there was a big part of like learning to play in that space safely. When you're bringing other people's kids onto the site, that, you know, that everybody's got a different background. So yeah, I think dogs are an excellent approach if they're the right dogs and they're a choice, you know, that you've made for like a long-term, you know, they're a long-term good fit. It's funny, actually, I've got a client right now, Louis, that has 5 Dobermans on their property, and they're really cool dogs, but I'm like, oh, that's not what I would have expected, but okay. And yeah, I mean, dogs are a huge deterrent to wildlife for good and bad. So as long as they'll stay on your property and stay around and they're not harassing wildlife off of it or chasing, you know, engaging a lot of those like negative behaviors. Another thing that I'm exploring right now is paddock tracks for horses, and looking at how those can be more ecologically developed. I think there's actually a lot of potential for them, especially in dry climates, for really limiting the detrimental impact that horses can have on the landscape to a relatively small area. And there's all kinds of health and behavioral benefits for the horses. And that's kind of talk about tangent. That's another tangent completely. But a friend of mine and I have started thinking about this in terms of like, well, what about as a property defense? And even as like a potential, you know, its value is really limited in this respect, but as a fire defense, you know, if you've got like a 20 or 30 foot wide cleared paddock track going around your property, and something like that could be useful in terms of, even if you've got something like goats, or you know, your dogs are on a track or something around them and the kids are in the center, then you've got them kind of corralled in there, and that's like a safe play area. But I think it would really depend on who you envision coming to the site. Like if you've got city kids, like really urban kids and urban families coming out to visit the site and reconnect with nature and play there, it might be a bridge to go into to play in an area that's actually quite safe and boundaried, but is very full, and you know, there's like lots of rocks and trees and like natural things that they can fall out of, but not natural things that they really like genuinely need to fear, like, you know, a mountain lion coming through and navigate. Like that's a natural risk that even I wouldn't put my very like wild 5-year-old at. But we do tons of hiking, and like she runs off and it's like, you know, she's off around the next corner and everything, and then, you know, as long as like we can see her, we can hear her, then that's fine. But it's going to depend on who's coming to your site to a certain extent, and how much you want to tailor to people's existing fears and how much you want to stretch them, how much they're able to stretch. So having like an abundance of hiking trails for kids that are more comfortable branching out, stuff like that. So it might be a matter of having a range, but yeah, I can appreciate that, like not wanting to corral them in. You know, here they come out to this like nature site and you don't want to like keep them fenced in, but there is also an element of yeah, keeping them safe at the same time. So, and honestly, like when there's really like an abundance of activity, wildlife like does not tend to circulate around that. Like the problems where we see like urban wildlife, the places where we see urban wildlife problems are really like suburbs, you know, places backed onto very wild spaces where wildlife really has nowhere else to go. Whereas in a rural context, that's not really the issue. Like we never really had any issue with the black bears on our properties because they had like, you know, thousands of acres to go somewhere else rather than get into conflict with us. And they had no experience of like eating garbage, eating human food, because they didn't need to. So that's going to depend a little bit on, that's going to influence the choices you make in that. So does that help? Does that?
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. A lot of interesting trade-offs there. Yeah. And I grew up personally in Africa and ran around in the bush barefoot. So I'm surprised I made it. And I did. So yeah, it's a very, very interesting space. And I firmly believe in the value of unsupervised play for kids in a natural environment. I think I need to figure out, again, what the age groups are and what the safety parameters are. But thank you for that.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just looking at the time, and I'm looking through the chat too. Louis, so your comment was about Javan's, the Basemap clinics, I think. No, okay. I can see your mouth moving, but you're muted. Yeah. But you know.
Yeah, I was just responding that his sessions were extremely helpful. I didn't participate in them, but he uploaded them on YouTube. And the nice thing about YouTube, it puts up his shows links to other videos that he's done.
Yeah.
And I was able to find answers on those other videos as I was driving up north. So that was really nice.
Good. Yeah, he's been doing YouTube for a long time. I've known Javin for 11 years this March, and he was just starting to YouTube around then. He was like, "Yeah, you got to get your own YouTube channel." I'm like, "Oh, whatever."
Yeah,
but he's done well. Yeah,
it's a hard thing to get into. I've been told to do it, and I just don't do it. And the Basemap is it's a little troublesome. I actually had a flyover done on my property when I bought it because people were fighting about the boundaries of the property. Oh, this is mine. No, that's mine. I'm like, oh no, we're doing a flyover. But even with having that topo, just putting all the information out there and getting it correct is it takes time.
Yeah, it does take time. So don't start it Sunday night.
Yeah, I've been working on it for days.
Yeah, and work on it a little bit and come back to it and let it let it kind of percolate a little bit and sit with you. Okay, last couple of things. So I just want to make a note on photos here, images. This is like your inspiring design images. Pinterest, Google Images. I really like Unsplash as a way of getting free images, but you can also you can clip a little piece of text that gives credit to the photographer, which I think is really important. So that's quite nice. I'm gonna put these into the chat here. I also like Canva. I think the paid version is worth it, but it's I think it's 15, I think it's $15 a month if you just pay by the month. So if you pay for it for a month and download a bunch of images, or just pay for it for the length of the course, you'll end up paying like $45. Let me see, you guys are done. Oh, we have a little, so I'm thinking of the other cohort, but then you've got like these like unlimited, like really nice images to draw from, but it's up to you. I really like Canva personally, for finding nice images of examples of things that I want to show. And like Pinterest is also really useful. So fill up anytime you've got empty space here, just fill it up with like nice images, either of the site that you're working with or of what you envision, or both. So these next two slides are where this is really your chance to put that inspiration in place. And I see a lot of students leave a lot of white space in here, and you can make these little tables quite, you could cut them in half and put more images in here, like really fill up your space. Use your space to tell the story of like what they're envisioning or what you're envisioning. If you've got space, use it. Put some nice images or ideas, clips, whatever in there. So this is just going to be the things the clients liked most and least about the site. Pretty straightforward. And then any concerns that they're having. Sometimes this is just one thing and you can delete these 2 rows. This might be 1 or 2 things. Sometimes it's one partner wants this and the other partner wants this other thing. Sometimes it's a multifamily site. Grandparents want this, parents need this, kids need this. Anything like that, any way you want to divide it up. And again, these tables can be shortened if you want to. If it's not a lot of text, just shorten them up and like to here, or put them in the middle, put some more images or thoughts over here. And then just an overall vision, like they want to move towards greater food security, more self-sufficiency. They envision like wildflowers and butterflies everywhere. They envision like being able to have people over for wellness retreats, anything like that. So, and then just the question slide. So that's it for those, that's the 2 sections for that lesson. It's just the base map and the client interview. Okay. Are there any other questions now that I see a thumbs up. Okay, that's good. Yes, Last Child in the Woods, Linda, thank you. Yeah, that's a great example. Oh, actually, Roger, because you're asking, I don't know if you're familiar with Rock Tree Sky in Santa Paula, because you're in this area. They're on Caesar Road. My daughter's actually there Tuesdays and Thursdays, so she's there right now. So talk to Jim Bailey about a tour if you want to go check that out. It's actually an old school site, but they have TK to, or it's really preschool, all the way up to high school. And I think at any given time, they've got about 120 kids on site, and it's like free roam. I believe the property is 2 acres, and there's chickens, and they've got mushroom rooms and an art studio, a music studio, and open spaces and climbing things and rock. Like, you can go basically anywhere and do just about anything. They've got a woodworking shop, pottery studio, everything. It would really be worth at least like connecting with Jim and talking to him about, because he's very passionate about that open outdoor education. So
I appreciate that. Have you perchance been to Quail Springs?
I'm board chair. Yes, so I've been involved with Quail Springs.
So you know Warren then?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, great. We'll chat later. I don't want to
Okay, yeah.
burden you, but that's awesome. I'd love to chat more. I'd love to meet Warren, and yeah, I assume you know John Young as well.
I don't know John personally, no.
Okay. I have a good friend who knows him well, so I'm starting to network in this space, and it's very exciting. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, we should, and that's true for anybody like passing through Ventura County, like up and down the coast. You're always shoot me if you want to, if you're interested to, shoot me an email. You're welcome to come here. We're almost always home, because we're also caregivers. So we have a lot going on just at our home. We just cut back our muscovy population from 30 to down to 3. But we have rabbits and chickens, and we've done a lot of rainwater catchment stuff, terracing, food forest, kind of the works. The front yard is nothing to speak about, because that's still on the project list. But everyone is, yeah, I would love to see more students come by here. I've had a couple in the past, but yeah, it's always nice to meet face to face and stuff. So. Okay, any questions?
You know what? It would be maybe you can have like a day where you do that, like a Saturday or something.
Yeah, we used to be pre-COVID. Okay, Patricia, I'm seeing your question. I'm sorry. I'm going to answer this. I'm going to answer your plant question in the discussion for the office hour, because I want to really give it some attention about plant lists and stuff. But I just want to note that I did mark that question, and I'll get an answer for you into the discussion so everyone can see it. Yeah, we used to do barbecues pre-COVID and have like people over, and we do a little walkthrough and then like a big potluck. So we will be starting that up again. We meant to have one on the books for February, so it might be kind of short notice, but we're working on it. But yeah, it's a nice idea. It's a nice way to meet other people too. So.
I'll make a trip down for that.
Where are you at, Dale?
Sacramento, so it'll be about 7-hour drive down. But I have family down in San Diego, so it'd be a good 2 birds, 1 stone kind of thing.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. And Patricia, where are you at? Oh, you're muted. Sorry.
La Habra Heights, so right on the Orange County, LA border in the hills.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Okay. All right.
I was just in Ventura, the whole area this weekend.
Oh shoot, we missed you. Well, we were up in Morro Bay, so we would have missed you anyway. Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks everyone for showing up. Feel free to send questions if you've got them by email or in the discussion forum. Louis, was that a hand up or? Nope. Just good. Okay. All right.
All right. Thanks, Susan. This was helpful.
Okay, well, you guys have a great week, and yeah, shoot me any questions you have if you need.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.